Hello everyone. Good evening. مساء الخير جميعا. Welcome to another edition of the 542 training program and the first webinar of its 7th edition, to be precise. We have special guests with us today, which we thank for taking the time to be with us. This webinar will be about sports and well-being, where we'll discuss some very interesting and important topics related to running and well-being. So we're gonna also talk about the importance of mental health. We're gonna discuss also yoga and running. We're gonna also look into the importance of cardiovascular screening in long distance running, the physiotherapy plan behind the 542 training program, and finally, the nutrition plan also in long distance running. So at the end of this webinar, we're gonna have we'll have a question and answer session with all the speakers. So please, if you have a question for any of our speakers, write it down in the chat box and we'll go through it in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the webinar. We will try to keep it brief and quick since our agenda is heavy. Thanks again for being with us. And let's start with Mrs. Meir Khalil, President and founder of the Beirut Marathon Association. Mrs. Meir, please, the floor is yours.
Alberto, thank you very much. I definitely would have loved to see the faces. إني شوف each and every one of you. لأنه الenergy would have been completely different. However, thank you so much for finding the time to join us. I would like to tell you that we at the Beirut Marathon, we've witnessed all of Lebanon's ups and downs. Since the association's inception, we had lived through a war, assassinations, economic crisis, and to top it all, the Beirut blast. We, as an association, have our hands tied. Yes, they are tied, but our legs are free. And what we can and will keep doing is run for our freedom, run for our sanity, run for hope, solidarity, and of course, peace of mind. Yes, Lebanon has never reached a lower point in its entire existence. But in parallel, we at the Beirut Marathon are only working towards a better version of ourselves. We do this with pride and hope at the forefront of our campaign because these two factors are what enables us citizens to go on in this country. I cannot but thank you, our wonderful speakers and inspiring coaches, the one and only team of the Beirut Marathon, as well as our 542 runners for your presence on this webinar. And we wish you all the luck on the rest of your journey. Thank you so much. And now allow me to introduce a very, very special friend, a dear friend who has been with us since 2003. This dear friend is with us all the way from Sao Paulo. Guilherme Matar was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil in 1963. He graduated in law at the University of Sao Paulo with law's master's degree from Notre Dame University, London Law Center. He's Chief of Staff, Deputy Secretary, and Municipal Secretary of International Relations at the Sao Paulo City Hall since 2007 until 2012. Currently, Guilherme Matar is the Secretary General of the Brazil-Lebanon Chamber of Commerce, President of the Brazil-Lebanon Arbitration and Mediation Chamber, and a consultant in international business and relations in both private and public sectors. And his CV goes on and on and on. We're here to talk about Guilherme Matar, the friend, the greatest supporter to Beirut Marathon since 2003, 2004, long time ago. I would like to mention one more thing, that Guilherme used to bring close to 400 to 500 runners every year who would come all the way from Brazil to be part of the Beirut Marathon. Thank you so much, Guilherme, for your continuous support. The floor is yours, and hopefully this year we'll be able to reconnect again, and in the coming years we'll build the bridges that we built before. Thank you so much for your time. The floor is yours.
Thank you so very much, May. It's an honor. Good evening to all. You may ask, what does a Chamber of Commerce has to do with the sports event? Very little in principle, I suppose. Yet, back in 2003, our large Lebanese community from Brazil was just beginning to rediscover the country of origin after a long hiatus. I was in Lebanon accompanying a presidential visit when fellow runners tipped me about the country's first marathon that had recently taken place. One day, I found myself knocking at Beirut Marathon Association's door for information. 15 years on, thousands of my countrymen had eventually come to Lebanon in time for, or somehow because of, the Beirut Marathon. Here, they inhaled the city's aroma, felt the city's pulse, the unity, the emotion, the human warmth, the harmonious diversity, conviviality, a nation helplessly in love with its country. Under the spell of this place's magic, they came from afar. They renewed family bonds, went through every corner. Some made business connections, all of them with a sense of coming back home. The Beirut Marathon is, of course, about sports and about well-being, but much, much more. It translates the glue of goodwill that brings the Lebanese together, no matter their differences. It is a beacon for the Lebanese and for that huge planet Lebanon out there, ourselves included. All thanks to the work and vision of this marvelous, caring, idealistic lady leader, May Al-Halil, and the outstanding people who have helped her over the years. Now, we are back to times when the word hardship becomes an appalling understatement. We well know of the emergency needs of the people and the country before it may rise again. And we descendants have no doubt it will rise again. Just please allow me to add one more medicine to this cabinet, the return of the fresh air currents of human movement, oxygenating the city streets in unison, so we can have healthy bodies, just as healthy spirits once again, the Beirut Marathon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is really amazing. Beautifully said, my dear friend. Thank you. Thank you for your continuous love and unconditional support.
Thank you. Thank you, May.
Albert, I think the floor is yours.
Yes, I'm starting right away. Thank you so much, Mr. Guilherme. Thank you, Mrs. May. We hope we can carry on with our mission of always uniting people through running. And we always keep our motivation or have our motivation from people like you, people like the speakers who are going to have a talk tonight, and also the coaches and assistant coaches who always do their best in organizing the training sessions. So I'm gonna go through a very quick presentation before we move into the technical part to walk you through a bit the identity of the 542. I'm gonna talk about the mission, the vision, and the objectives. Then we're gonna check together some interesting numbers and figures since its inception in 2014. Later in my presentation, we're gonna share the training calendar. Then we're gonna walk you through the Beirut Marathon dedicated resources. Then a very important topic, which is the COVID-19 restrictions and safety measures that we should all take very seriously. And last but not least, we're gonna check together the health and other benefits behind the program. So we offer hope for runners who dream to finish a marathon, an unforgettable training journey full of socially athletic experiences in order to accomplish their main goal of crossing the marathon finish line. What are our main objectives? Obviously, one, to prepare participants to run the 42.195 kilometer, which will be hopefully held or scheduled on November 14, 2021. Two, promote healthy lifestyle among our community. Three, endorse physical and mental health. Four, expand the running culture across different Lebanese regions. Now let's check together some interesting numbers. As I said, since the inception of the program in 2014 till 2021, so we have, we're now on its 7th edition. The program started with 5 coaches, and we can clearly see how with the years the program grew in terms of coaches, assistant coaches, regions, Lebanese regions, and also registered participants. If we have to put those numbers into a graph, we can clearly see how the numbers grew since 2014 to reach a peak of 720 registered participants in 2018, of which 199 were able to finish the marathon. It's very important to mention also in 2019, unfortunately, due to the chain of events that happened in the country, we weren't able to organize the marathon. That's why we can see a 0 in 2019. Some additional interesting facts about the program. The percentage of runners who started and finished on race day is 98%. So in other words, 98% of the runners who were present at the start line were able to finish the marathon, which means if you commit to the trainings, you will most probably finish the race in November, hopefully. The percentage of initial registrants crossing the finish line is 63%. 42% of our Lebanese marathon runners are in fact 542 runners. Finally, 99% of our finishers highly recommended taking part in our training programs. Now let's talk very quickly about our identity, 542. Why 542? 5 stands for 5 months. 42 stands for the distance of a marathon, which is 42.195 kilometers. Now, this little guy in red is our PRE. It stands for positive running energy. Now, let's move into more serious material, and let's check the training calendar. So as you can see, the training calendar consists of 20 weeks, of training that leads to the Beirut International Marathon. We're gonna post this training calendar on our website, and we're gonna share it with all of you on the WhatsApp group. Everything in yellow means the meetings and the webinar that we do. For instance, here we're on July 28th, and we're having our first webinar. We have another webinar in September 22, and the technical meeting in November 10 to talk about details about the marathon. So what's in light orange is the timed trainings. So you can see target timed runs. What is in dark orange is the distance long runs. So the target is in distance. What is in blue is the weekdays training. Please do not stress right now on the complexity of this program, because this program was put by all our coaches, and all of our coaches are aligned on this program. And finally, in green, the event and races that we have. So we can see the Beirut International Marathon on November 14. We're gonna have the cardiac screening in the month of August. Dr. Mona Osman will share more details about cardiac screening and why it is important to conduct cardiovascular screening in long distance running. And also, as of the first Monday of August, and for the first time, we're gonna integrate a virtual yoga session with Mrs. Monique Shibley until November 7. What are Beirut Marathon's dedicated resources? One, the recruitment and planning of this training program. Two, the coaches and runners communication. Three, obviously, the logistics and on-site presence of our training on the ground and of our races on the ground. Four, wellness and well-being, and that's why we're here today. Finally, the media and impact stories that we shared. I won't take a lot of your time since you guys signed on the terms and conditions of the 542, but I want to stress on this very important topic, which is the COVID-19 safety measures. Now that we know the cases are kind of growing slightly in the country, it is very important to keep in mind to maintain a 1.5 meter distance all the time from other individuals, to wear a mask before the runs, after the runs, and during the gathering. Please, very important to keep a mask on you and to wear a mask before the trainings and after the training. So the only time where you have to remove the mask is once you're on the run. The rest of the points are the standards from the ministry, from the Lebanese Ministry of Health. So I would go through them very quickly. Cover your cough with your elbow, wash your hands with an alcohol-based sanitizer, avoid touching your face, stay at home if you're sick, cold, or if you have a flu. Finally, exchanging bottles is strictly forbidden. So when we distribute water bottles in the training sessions, please don't exchange them. Now let's talk about the health and well-being before I leave the floor to our experts. So one, we're having throughout this training program, the 20 weeks, a nutrition plan with Dr. Lama Matar, which consists of weekly tips and webinar presentations. Two, cardiac screening with Dr. Mona Osman. Appointments process will be shared with you very soon. Three, physiotherapy sessions with our dearest physiotherapist, Dr. Jihad Haddad, Dr. Khalifa Khalifa, Dr. Khalil Khusub, Dr. Jihad Safi, Dr. Hazem Smail. The webinars that we organize, so mainly is to share with you technical content related to health and running, obviously injury prevention. Our webinar in September 2022 will be more focused on injury prevention, yoga and running, nutrition, motivation and mental health, and technical content related to marathon. 5 yoga sessions with Mrs. Monique Shibley every Monday for 15 weeks. So Mrs. Monique took care of a customized program for long distance runners and the 542. Last but not least, the mental well-being with Dr. George Karam from Adrak, Dr. Wissam Khair, our advisor in mental health. And so it consists of mental health tips and techniques that will be shared by Adrak, and also free confidential assistance with professionals in the fields of mental health for all the 542 runners. Dr. George will elaborate more with his presentation. So thank you. Now, let's start with the technical parts with Dr. George Karam, Chairman of Department of Psychiatry and Clinical Psychology at St. George Hospital University Medical Center, and the founder and president of Adrak a mental health NGO. Please, Dr. Josh Karam, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, May, and thank you for the whole team for organizing this webinar, but more importantly, for organizing another training, another year of the 542, because I'm going to talk to you today. I do wear several hats. So I'm going to talk to you as a psychiatrist and a specialist in mental health, but also I'm someone who went through the 542 program myself and ran the marathon, and it was so successful, and it was such important for me that I decided to keep on running. And this year I'm a coach, in fact, a 542 coach. So it's, I have all the facets. And one thing, in fact, also after my marathon, I got injured. It has nothing to do with the marathon. And Dr. Jihad Haddad, who's one of the speakers, treated me. So عندي كل شيء from A to Z قاطع فيهم أنا. So anyway, I'm going to just emphasize a little bit about the importance and the effect of running on our mental well-being. And so we all know, in fact, that physical exercise has many health benefits. Okay, we all know that, وكلنا بنحكيها وبنعيدها عدة مرات. But in fact, how come? How does physical exercise improve our mental well-being? Well, it does that primarily because it increases hormones in our body, and two main hormones that are secreted in our body once we exercise are called endorphins and serotonin. And when these two hormones increase in our brain, we feel better about our mood, we feel less anxious, we can sleep better. I will talk about them in a second. And also, because of the endorphins that are being released in our body, we feel less pain. So in fact, we are not only the emotional pain decreases after exercising, but even physical pain can decrease after exercise because of the increase in endorphins. Now, running, if you want to talk about running specifically, and but all sports, but running specifically, it helps us also reduce our stress. And the way it does that is by increasing endocannabinoid, which is a substance really similar to cannabis. So, you can have it naturally. You don't need to resort to smoking cannabis. You can just exercise and your body will automatically and naturally secrete this hormone. And once this hormone increases in your body, it goes into your bloodstream and then it goes up to your brain, it will help you feel relaxed and calm. And by doing so, you will reduce your stress. So really, running does have quite a bit of a positive effect. Also, we know, and there are several studies that have been done that show that running boosts your mood. And because, as I mentioned earlier, by running, you're increasing your serotonin level. And serotonin is the major hormone that is responsible for our mood and our anxiety. And if I increase this hormone naturally, I'm increasing it in my system, then I'm immune to depression and I'm immune to anxiety. And it is really very helpful. And I'm sure that some of you have started feeling this. Now we are in our 4th week of training, and probably you started feeling how you're getting less anxious and probably better mood. Also, it helps us recover from mental health illnesses. So if you already have an illness, okay, if you already have depression, we already have anxiety, and you have been clinically diagnosed as having that, several studies, again, have shown the effect of running is almost as important as medications. So imagine that, you show up to a psychiatrist or to a psychologist and you have depression, and if you take a medication or if you run, they can have almost the same benefit. And that's why even before I started running myself, I have been prescribing running and exercising, as part of my treatment regimen. So I always prescribe medication, not always, in the severe cases, I prescribe medications, but I always prescribe physical exercise and running. And lastly, running does improve your sleep. And probably some of you have felt that already. I know that at the beginning of the training, some people were having a hard time waking up because my team trains at 6:30 in the morning, and some people were feeling sleepy and tired. And I kept on telling them that, after the 2nd week or the 3rd week, your sleep and your energy level are definitely going to improve. And I've heard that from several team members already, telling me how they are more energized and their sleep is better. So by running, again, you improve your sleep, and by improving your sleep, that has a direct correlation on your mental health. Now, this is, if you want, the direct effect of running on mental health. But one important aspect that I would like to talk about, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that later, and as we get closer to the marathon, is the mental set while running. And the mental training to run a marathon is extremely important. You know, it is almost as important as the physical training. So all of us are now training for 5 months in order to run a marathon. But if you do not train our mind on how to overcome the challenge, because a lot of you are probably scared and worried that how am I going to run 42 kilometers? The run last Sunday was barely 6-7 kilometers and I could barely do it. How am I going in 4 short months be able to jump from 6 kilometers to 42 kilometers, so 7 times that distance? And here comes, you know, the mindset, and all your coaches are really well trained in order to help you with that. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that more and more, about the importance of training your mental health, you know, training in order to overcome that, in order not to hit the wall. And I'm sure all of you have heard that phrase, hitting the wall. And hitting the wall and how to not hit the wall and to overcome that has to do with your mental preparation. But I'm not going to talk more about that at the present time because it's still early. But once comes, you know, September, October, definitely we will be talking about that in more details. Now, just a few words about IDRAK, and thank you, Albert, for mentioning IDRAK. So IDRAK is the leading mental health NGO in Lebanon. The activity started in 1982. So in fact, I'm not the founder, as Albert said, but you know, the activity started when I was still a young kid. So it started in 1982, but it was officially registered in the government, طلعنا على المخابر, in 1997. And IDRAK delivers free community services, it does awareness programs, and really world-class research. And our 3 major pillars are awareness, research, and community services. Now, because it is our mission to improve mental health in Lebanon and to raise awareness, obviously we're very interested in mental health. And I'm very happy and I'm proud to say that the Beirut Marathon does share the same vision with us. And they always focus on the importance of well-being. And this year specifically, they are focusing on the importance of mental well-being. And as Mrs. Al-Khalil said at the beginning, this year, you know, it is the worst year probably that Lebanon is crossing through its history. And all of you know how important it is to take care of our mental well-being. We are surrounded by negative news. We are surrounded by, you know, events. Just in 1 week, we're going to remember the terrible anniversary of August 4. And, you know, so you cannot escape from your mental well-being. And because both associations and both NGOs truly believe in that, we decided to collaborate. And over the next 4 months, you're going to be receiving tips and techniques on how to take care of your mental health. So that will be really interesting to see. But also, what we are going to do is that IDRAK, all the professionals at IDRAK will offer free consultations and follow-ups to any 542 runner who feels that they need to seek professional help. So if any one of you feel that, you know, you need to talk to a psychiatrist or to a psychologist, IDRAK will be offering you 4 sessions free of charge. And it is really important to mention, and Albert already mentioned that these will be completely confidential. So no names, no information, nothing will be shared with the Beirut Marathon. So you can really be, you can rest assured that, you know, once you come and see us, all your information is confidential and nothing will be shared. And if you'd like to see any professional at IDRAK, this is the hotline number that you're supposed to call. It's 03-7304-75. And we are going to share it among the groups and also the social network channels of the Beirut Marathon. So don't worry if you did not remember it, we're going to share it. And the last thing I would like to tell you is there is no health without mental health. So please take care of your health, take care of your mental health. And thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. George. Thank you and IDRAK for the partnership. Now we're gonna move to a very special guest, the charming Monique Shibler, a yoga teacher that is gonna explain more about yoga and running. Please, Mrs. Monique, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be part of this webinar today, and I would like to thank first Maëlle Khalil and her team for giving me the opportunity to talk about my two passions, yoga and running. I'm a Hatha yoga teacher and I love what I do. After experiencing running and yoga since almost 15 years, I can assure you that yoga and running are a perfect combination on all levels, the physical and the mental. When I was 33 years old, I'm going to share the PowerPoint. When I was 33 years old, I gave birth to my twin boys, and I started a few months later my yoga journey. Why? For two reasons. I was suffering from multiple lumbagos. You can see how volume I was. And my physical fatigue due to my full presence with my babies at home. My first yoga session was love at first sight, and I felt much better in my body and my mind. 5 years later, I started running few kilometers with my husband. We used to run 5K and feel like we've conquered the world. Our motivation was nourished by the Beirut Marathon races all year long, and running became a beautiful addiction, just like yoga. We started doing long runs, training seriously with Inter-Lebanon Running Club. You have the picture up. And we participated in many marathons and half marathons. Today, I can testify the positive results of this combination, developing muscular strength, improving flexibility, balance and harmony between body and mind, recovery and reduction of risk of injuries, mental focus, breathing awareness, and breathing quality. What is yoga? Yoga is the union of body, mind, and spirit. The word yoga in Sanskrit, the oldest Indian language, is yug. It means unity, to unite, to join. But to unite what? The mind, the body, and the spirit. Not only the physical body, but the energetical one. We call it the subtle body. The flow of energy is activated thanks to the breathing, the postures that we call asanas. This energy is kept, you can see the picture on the right of all the chakras. This energy is kept stocked in our 7 chakras. They are wheels of energy aligned on the spine from the base, the pelvis area, to the crown of the head. These energy points should be open and not closed, and it all depends on our emotional state of mind, physical, mental, and spiritual health. The flow of energy that we call prana in the body will balance these chakras related to organs and glands all around the spine. And this is, of course, is for a better well-being. Yoga is an ancestral discipline, but yet so modern in its philosophical message. Yoga is about finding peace of mind in the chaos of today, following ethical guidelines, and living yoga for a meaningful and balanced life. We have many yoga schools, and I'm sure you have heard a lot of yoga, different techniques, and wondering the difference between them. Sorry. You have Ashtanga Yoga, Vinyasa Yoga, Bikram Yoga, Jivamukti, Iyengar, Power Yoga, Yin Yoga. They are all derived from the traditional system of yoga that's called Hatha Yoga. And Hatha means in Sanskrit, discipline of force, aiming to master the mind, controlling the breath, relaxing and restore the balance in the body. Meditation is the last stage to reach a spiritual detachment from our 5 senses and from our thoughts. We call it the samadhi state of mind. It's the experience of purity of the soul, stop identifying with our mind, and reach a pure consciousness we call it the self, the pure nature. When we say discipline of force, doesn't mean force as competition or ego. In the yoga path, it's the force of perseverance, patience, and control. Hatha yoga, especially for runners. It's your restorative sessions. What are the benefits? We'll see them just later. Just to explain to you what is Hatha yoga in the technique that your Hatha yoga offers. Soft and slow and gentle postures without pushing too much. You need to practice slow movement and resting the heart from your strong trainings, taking the time to stretch slowly your muscle and your joints, especially for beginners, slowing down so you are aware of your body limits. The plus yoga can offer is this awareness through the breathing during the resting mode. Staying in the posture will allow the energy to flow and release all the tensions that we call the granthis. It means the knots. The knots in the spine, the knots in the body, in the muscles. Hatha yoga method is focused on breathing control, postures, and meditation. So we have 3 chapters. I'm going tonight to focus on 2, pranayama, that is the breathing control, and asanas, the posture. We will leave meditation in details and concentration for the other webinar. So pranayama is the control of the breath. Prana exists in every living creature on earth. Prana is life. It's also the vital energy that flows in your body. There are many exercises that helps you to control the breath. And a very important note here is that in yoga, we breathe from the nose, and in the running, we breathe from the mouth to get more oxygen. But this difference will not affect the quality of the breathing. So we talk about 3 qualities in the breath: deep, regular, and slow. Deep, it means you amplify the breathing. Regular, you make it in a good rhythm, a regular rhythm, and slow. Under stress or anxiety, we tend to have a short and fast breath, irregular and chaotic. The effect on the body is an increased heart rate, a high blood pressure, so we get tired more quickly. As a runner, breathing techniques with a regular rhythm will teach you to breathe more efficiently and to learn how to slow down when you need to control your inhale and exhale, and to empty deeply your lungs to be able to inhale again deeply. We can find 84 asanas in all yoga books. And what is asana is the posture. There's quality of the posture. We talk about awareness, deep breathing, and comfortable and steady. Awareness, when you stay connected with your body sensation during your yoga session. Deep breathing, increase blood flow in your muscles. Comfortable and steady, when you hold the pose in Hatha yoga, this will give you strength in your muscle and focus. Even in a difficult posture, the idea is to stay comfortable in a correct effort, to take the posture with a non-performance state of mind. The main purpose in yoga postures is to let go of your ego. How do I look? It looks good. How brave I am. So all these are put on the side. While you are in an active posture, you try and reach the tranquility in the movement. As a runner, this quality of tranquility in the action will increase your endurance during your long runs. The benefits of the posture asanas for runners: improving your flexibility through the stretching, the coordination, muscle strength, mobility for your spine, improving the balance of your subtle and your physical body. Slow movement and deep breathing during the postures will give you a memory of doing so during your runs. Concentration is the right exercise to focus on your body while you run and not your mind, not the tricks, the bad and negative tricks that the mind can send when you do long runs, especially on marathon day. There is many examples of good postures for runners, restorative postures, but I'm going to talk about 3 different postures, family of postures that are important. The twist of the spine. Twist postures are restorative for the mobility, the flexibility, and the energy flow around the spine. The mobility of the spine will help you improve your running technique and reduce the risk of injury. The psoas iliac is a very important two muscles. They work together. They are in this picture that you can see. They are hip flexors and spine straightener. You have the psoas, the lower back muscle. It's a short muscle. It goes from the spine to the femur, and the iliac muscle that you see on the hip, on the lateral side of the hip, goes from the hip to the same place. The end is on the femur. They are both engaged in synergy while you run and you walk. They got a lot of pressure and toxins from the digestive system. So I'm going to make sure that we release and stretch these muscles during the yoga sessions that we do together. And you have here the very known pigeon pose, that is the posture of resting the body after the run. The core, it's very important to have a strong core when you run, especially when you go uphill. If you have marathon in a city, you have sometimes uphills. You need a strong core for an efficient running form, speed, and stability. We engage the core in almost all yoga postures, especially when you stretch your spine vertically, you need to engage the core. The core will relieve stress on the back pain, help you build a stable center in the abdomen. And knowing that the abdomen is the center of the vital energy, the emotions are stocked in the gut. And the symbolic of the abdomen is the fire, because it's digestion and transformation. So it's an important part to work on in yoga. Meditation is a very important stage in yoga. It's called the art of contemplation. Sitting still and in silence will help you clear the mind from all the toxins and the negative thoughts. Meditation will teach you how to reach a relaxed state of mind when facing negative thoughts and difficulties. But as I said before, we'll talk about meditation on the second webinar. Our nervous system. The autonomic nervous system in the brain regulates the breathing, the heart rate, the blood pressure, digestion, metabolism, urination, and sexual response. This system has two divisions: the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The first one, the sympathetic, we call it the fight or flight response. Running fast or long runs will put your sympathetic nervous system in a stress mode. We call it the fight or flight, increasing the blood pressure and the level of cortisol to rise the organism, to give the organism the possibility to face this stress. After your training, you have to put this system in a rest mode for a while. Some yoga postures are restorative for the adrenal glands that are responsible for secreting these hormones of adrenaline and cortisol to be able to face the stress. Could be positive stress, but stress of the organism. You need to turn off these adrenal glands and you switch to your parasympathetic nervous system that we call rest and digest. With the yoga session, you take the time to give your body a space to calm down, your heart rate to be in coherent state. That's a gift to your body to get a better sleep, a better metabolism, and a better digestion. So in Hatha Yoga, we'll have a lot of breathing techniques that will slow down the nervous system and go to enhance the parasympathetic system, that is rest and digest. As a conclusion, yoga don't like competition like running, so it's a big difference. We let go of the performance, but you need it in running because you have the time, the goals. Yoga teaches you to listen to your body and push in the right effort with awareness. Breathing exercises and meditation will help you manage stress. Mentally, you'll be able to sit in the discomfort and push through your previous limits. Yoga is an essential part of recovery in your running schedule of the week. The benefits, I just do a small resume here: muscular strength, flexibility, balanced body and mind, reduction of risk of injury, mental focus, and breathing awareness. Yoga discipline can offer your body and mind harmony and balance needed today in our everyday life. So I'm going to meet with you, like we said before, like Albert said, on every Monday, starting this 2nd of August at 7 o'clock on your mats. Unfortunately, we're going to be on Zoom. And we are going to send you with your coaches some tips to be able to be very comfortable on your mat on Monday. Thank you for giving me the time to do my presentation.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you for an amazing presentation. We're very excited to start with you the weekly yoga sessions as of August 2. I would like to remind everyone that we will share with you details about how to join those yoga sessions and what equipment we might need during those sessions. Thank you so much.
Very simple equipments, very simple, not
very
complicated.
Simple. Yeah. All right, so now, please, Monique, if you can stop sharing the screen. Thank you. Now, we're gonna have a very special guest, a guest who has been with us since 2014, helping us and providing us with the cardiac screening for all our training program runners. Dr. Mona Osman, Assistant Professor of Family Medicine at AUBMC and founder of CHAMPS Foundation. Please, Dr. Mona, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, good evening. Thank you very much, Albert. And thank you again, Albert and Mai and Rima and all Beirut Marathon family for giving me the opportunity again to be among you. I'm really very happy to be again, Yani, to be again in the 542, conducting the screening and having the marathon. And we consider this as a sign of hope for us in Lebanon currently. And when it stopped in 2019, I think we went into hell. And hopefully this time when we're starting again, things will be better, hopefully. So I'll be talking to you a bit about the cardiac screening in athletes and why we need to do the cardiac screening. As Dr. Karam mentioned, it's not moving, very nice. Okay.
Try and click on the screen. Sorry to interrupt. Try and click on the screen before sharing.
Okay. So as Dr. Karam mentioned, that exercise, regular physical activity and exercise has a lot of benefits on our health. The most important benefit, of course, that he mentioned is improving our mental health, but there are other important benefits that exercise has on every single system, every single organ of our body. So it lowers the risk of cardiovascular disease, it lowers the risk of hypertension, it improves cognition, a lot of things. It improves our bone health, it improves our sleep, it decreases dementia, it increases the risk of cancers, diabetes, and a lot of benefits. And also there is an additional benefit, if you want, for Olympic high jumpers and marathon runners. In a study, they found that they live longer than the general population of similar age, gender, and birth year. So even running the marathon will give us an additional benefit. It is an added value to our health. However, having said that, cardiac screening is important. Why to do cardiac screening? Because sudden cardiac death can happen. The incidence is low, alhamdulillah, thanks God, but it can happen, and it is the first killer in athletes. It affects, as I said, and it's low, 1 to 3 athletes out of 100,000. And it is higher among athletes as compared to non-athletes. It's not because of exercise, of course, and it's not exercise that will cause the sudden cardiac death, but there is an underlying condition that athlete has, and the exercise might trigger the arrest because of the secretion of certain hormones, of certain catecholamines, sympathomimetics, and etc. that happens with the exercise, but because that person has an underlying condition. So this is what we do when we do the screening. We try to discover these conditions. These conditions usually can be, most of them are hereditary, and they can be structural, yani there is a problem in the muscle of the heart, or electrical, yani there is a problem in the electricity of the heart, and then the heart will not be functioning well, and sometimes the arrest can happen or the collapse can happen. These are mostly the congenital or the hereditary problems. But there are other reasons for sudden cardiac arrest which can be acquired. One of them is myocarditis, and this is currently we talk more about it with COVID and with the vaccines and all of this, because sometimes a virus can affect the muscle of the heart and can cause inflammation, and then if you do a heavy exercise at that time, if you have that condition, sometimes the arrest can happen. That's why it's very important to be alerted regarding this. Especially if whenever you have any a viral infection or a fever or etc., refrain from doing the exercise during that time. The second thing is sometimes a trauma, and the most important thing is the performance enhancing drugs. So it's very important for all athletes and for all of us to avoid taking the performance enhancing drugs, because they can predispose to sudden cardiac arrest. Again, why it's important, why we are talking about cardiac screening, because there is an example in Italy, because in Italy, cardiac screening is mandatory for all athletes, professional and non-professional athletes. And they found that over 20 years, 25 years, they were able to decrease the incidence, the risk of sudden cardiac arrest, sudden cardiac death, by around 89%, which is a very high percentage, okay? So, again, why we're talking can it happen among the marathon runners? There are some incidents that happened, and the first incident, maybe it happened with Phidippides, who was running from the city of Marathon to Athens to declare victory, and he collapsed upon arrival. And then this is a long time in history, and then other cases happened throughout the years. These are some examples of these sad incidents that happen. But again, as I mentioned, the incidence is very low. So we're talking about 0.54 to 2.1 per 100,000 marathon runners. But this is a painful death. This is as I said, this is a catastrophe. And the most important thing, and why it is a catastrophe, because again, you can prevent it. You can know beforehand that the condition is there, that there is a problem with the heart, and you can prevent it by just sometimes the treatment of these conditions is possible. It can be just a pill, it can be sometimes a procedure, it can be a surgical procedure, or it can be implanting a pacemaker, a defibrillator, okay? So then prevention is possible, okay? So how can we prevent sudden cardiac death in athletes? We can prevent it first by awareness. So these are some of the warning signs that everyone should be aware of. For example, if anyone has a chest pain upon exertion, or an unexplained fainting or near fainting, a racing or skipped heartbeat, an excessive or unexplained fatigue during exercise, or if there is, a history of very high blood pressure or a heart murmur that is not diagnosed, and we don't know what's the reason for that heart murmur, and if there is a family history of premature death in a family member 50 years and younger, or there is a heart problems again in family members younger than 50 years, then that person should seek a medical advice and to make sure that there is nothing wrong. Sometimes, the chest pain can happen it can be a muscular thing. Sometimes the fatigue can have other causes, but sometimes it can be serious. That's why we should be alerted regarding these, symptoms. The second thing that we can do, as I said, to prevent it is through the cardiac screening. And this is what we will be doing. So in the cardiac screening, what we do is that we take the medical history of the athlete. We do perform a quick physical examination, a focused physical examination, and we do the electrocardiogram or the EKG or the ECG, which is a painless thing. Yani this is the, I will show you in a way. So this is how they do the EKG, and in a way. So it is something external. It takes five minutes to be done, and it is not painful. So it can be done very easily. Okay. The third thing that can happen or that can save a person is to be prepared, to be ready. Because sometimes, sometimes, as I said, it can happen even if you don't have any cardiac condition because of certain predisposing factors. Okay, so it is very important to be ready, which means to have an automated external defibrillator in sports area. And this is available during the marathon because you have the Red Cross, they are there. And it is available with them all the time. And also you have to have coaches, trainers, etc., who are, or people who are trained on doing the cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So this is also made available through the Beirut Marathon Association during the marathon. So the cardiac screening, as Albert said, we started together since 2014, if I'm not wrong, and since the first edition. And this is a collaboration between CHAMPS Fund and the Beirut Marathon Association. And again, I'm very happy to be back on the field again, doing the cardiac screening for all of you. And just to give you a few highlights of what is CHAMPS Fund? So CHAMPS Fund is a nonprofit organization that is established in the American University of Beirut Medical Center. And the aim of it is to prevent the sudden cardiac death and in youth and in athletes in general. And this fund was, I founded the CHAMPS Fund in memory of Hisham, whose picture is here. He's my son. And Hisham, he was 15 years old when he collapsed while playing football. We did not know that he had a heart problem, but at that time, after he collapsed, we knew that he had a large heart muscle or hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And so CHAMPS Fund was founded in his memory. And what we try to do is we do the cardiac screening, we raise awareness regarding that, the importance of doing the cardiac screening. We train people on doing the cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and we donate also AEDs, hoping to move toward a heart-safe society in a way, or a heart-safe community. So thank you very much again for the opportunity, and I'm ready to take any questions at the end of the session today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mona. Thank you for your generous contribution towards the 542 and towards the Lebanese community. Okay, so a small reminder, if you have any questions, please write them down in the question and answer or chat box, and we'll do our best to address them at the end of the webinar. Now we're gonna have a very special guest who has been with us since 2004. So almost 20 years. Dr. Jihad Haddad helped us in the medical plan of the Beirut Marathon and with the anti-doping integration of the Beirut International Marathon. Dr. Jihad Haddad is a Lebanese Athletic Federation member, part of the committee. And as I said, he's also the liaison person in Lebanon or in West Asia, a regional anti-doping organization. Dr. Jihad Haddad will introduce the physiotherapist of the 542. Please, Dr. Jihad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you, May, Dr. George, Mona, Madame Monique, speakers, coaches, and athletes. I will not go into details in physiotherapy modalities. I will just have 5 minutes to introduce my athletes, but permit me to do a small testimonial as my colleagues did. If I go back to 2003, Mrs. May contacted me, introduced by a common friend. And then we sit, and May has that dream to organize the marathon. And she asked me the possibility to coordinate the medical as well as the doping. May believed in the potential of the medical volunteers. So since then, we were a very small group, like 45 physiotherapists with a few nurses. And now the Beirut Marathon has collaboration with the most of the universities and the hospitals to meet the medical and anti-doping standard for a silver labeled race. Albert, if you can share the presentation, please.
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm trying to share.
So for us as a physiotherapist, we don't insist on treatment. We mainly insist in the 542 program on prevention. So what we do as a preventive approach, we do what we call a musculoskeletal screening and orthopedic check, which leads to physiotherapy diagnosis, which is not a medical diagnosis. And when we see any departure from the biomechanics or physiological assessment, we can refer to a physician or imagery, etc. So we can divide it into two steps. As we know, we have intrinsic factors, including age, muscle, power, stiffness, legs, etc., even the morphotype of the athlete, of the runner. And we have extrinsic factors, including the stretching, the fitness level, the nutrition with our nutritionist, the rest, the recovery, warm up, running, overtraining, etc., which this can be coordinated with the other multidisciplinary specialists. And as physiotherapists also, it is important for us to look into the doping profile, because we have a nutritionist. She will take care of the supplementation, but we have also to protect the health of our athletes, not to be into the piège of taking any forbidden substance. So this is a general approach about our physiotherapy. And then we will take the chance to talk later in a second workshop or webinar about the different physiotherapy modalities. Within the team, we have our colleague, Dr. Khalifi Khalifi. Dr. Khalifi has been with us for many years. He's one of the renewed physiotherapists. He's based in Beirut. And you can continue, Albert.
Yeah, sure.
And we have Dr. Jihad Safi. He's based in Jounieh, I think, Albert. Also, he's a runner and he's a sport physiotherapist. So it's an added value for the committee this year. And we have our colleague, Dr. Khalil Khsoub. He's a physician. Dr. Hazem Ismail, also he's a physiotherapist. He will take care of the athletes based in the area. Dr. Khalil Khsoub, he's been with us in the medical committee. He's a sports physician. And we have another supporting committee, orthopedic surgeons. They will be on need and on call, of course. If anything major, one of the marathon, we had many stress fractures. So this was good diagnosed to prevent any complications. And what is important, Albert and the team introduced this year is the physiotherapy appointment form. So for us, it is important to record all the injuries and to track all the injuries and to build a good diagnosis. And it will be a link between the 542 management and the physiotherapists and the physicians. Like this, we have all this preparation period, and after that, we can do a good reporting system, statistically, what we had, like injuries, the type, the site, and the working load, and the absence from training. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you so much, Jihad. I just want to emphasize on one point. So لا سمح الله إذا حدا انصاب, we're gonna share a link with you. هذا link is essential for you to take appointments. So the appointments detail, such as a location of the appointment, date and time, will be shared from the Beirut Marathon team. So again, we're gonna share this link on the WhatsApp groups of the 542. Thank you again, Jihad.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have a very special guest, always with a smile, the charming Dr. Lama Matar, our nutritionist. Dr. Lama, the floor is yours.
Hi, Albert. Hi, everyone. Hi, all the runners. First, I want to apologize that I don't have my camera, but my connection is very unstable. So I prefer not to put my camera. I'm going to share with you my presentation. Can I? Yeah, I can share my screen. Just a second.
Yes, we can see your
Okay.
screen now.
Okay, and can you hear me clear?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly, Doctor.
Great. Okay, so I'm not going to take a lot of time because I know we're already late. I'm just going to talk to you briefly about nutrition. I'm going to accompany you throughout your 542 training. So this is why my presentation is not going to be very long, because the nutrition information سوري انا عم بحكي بالانجليزي كل النيوتريشن انفورميشن رح اصير اعطيكم اياها على يعني مدار التمرين ال 542 اللي عندكم اياه. سو اليوم بس رح اعطيكم كم تيبس صغار، وبدي بليز اطلب منكم للي ما عبوا بعد السيرفي يعبوه بليز للسيرفي اللي بعثنا لكم اياه ثرو الكوتشز. سو النيوتريشن والتغذيه عندهم نفس الأهمية عن التريننج تبعكم تبع الركض لحتى تقدروا تخلصوا ال 42 كيلومترز بنوفمبر. يعني قد ما تكونوا ممرنين لكم 5-6 أشهر عم تتمرنوا، إذا نهار الماراثون بتجوا ما نكون أكلين منيح، ما نكون محضرين منيح، معقولة كل هالتمرين يروح بلا طعمة أو useless، لأنه ما رح تقدروا تخلصوا السبق إذا ما كنتوا from a nutrition perspective، يعني من ناحية التغذية محضرين مزبوط. وهذا التحضير بالماراثون اللي هي ريس كتير طويلة بده يبلش انتوا عم تتمرنوا، يعني من أول نهار بلشتوا تمرين منبلش نتمرن، يعني كمان نمرن حالنا على النيوتريشن. سو النيوتريشن مع التريننج رح يقدروا هن يأثروا على الريس تبعكم وعلى البرفورمانس تبعكم. هلا ليه النيوتريشن كتير مهمة باللونج ديستانس رانينج وبكل السبورتس اللي فيهم اندورنس وستامينا؟ لأنه النيوتريشن أول شيء بتحسن لكم جسمكم اوفرول، يعني بيصير وزنكم والبادي كومبوزيشن تبعكم، يعني قد ايه عندكم مصل وقد ايه عندكم فات دهون، بيصيروا بطريقة منيحة لهيدا السبار، يعني بتصيروا اوتوماتيكلي جسمكم مهيأ ليقدر يعمل 42 كيلومتر، يركض 3 4 أو 5 ساعات. بعدين بيقوي لكم المناعة وبيخفف لكم الفريكونسي تبع انه تو جيت سيك، يعني تمرض. سو الجود نيوتريشن بتقوي المناعة كمان، خاصة انه انتم رح تكونوا عم تتمرنوا وعم تتعبوا بهذا التمرين كتير. كمان اكيد بتحسن البرفورمانس وهلا بنشوف كيف، وبيخفف الانجريز والكرامبس ومشاكل الريليتد لللونج ديستانس رانينج، وبيعملكم ريكفري اسرع. اكيد دكتور جهاد خوري وقبلي حكيوا عن اهميه الفيزيوثيرابي، ومونيك كمان حكيت عن اهميه الستريتشنج واليوغا واتسترا، وهالسترينثنينج اللي بيجي للركض النيوتريشن كمان بتعطيكم اياه، بيعطيكم الغذاء المواد اللي بدكم اياها ترجعوا تجددوا المسلز تبعكم، التندنز، يقوى العظم تبعكم، تقدروا تركضوا احسن من دون وجع ومن دون انجريز. هلا اذا بدي اعطيكم تايم لاين صغيره عن النيوتريشن بالماراثون. نهار الماراثون عم بحكي، مش بالخمسة اشهر شو رح تعملوا بالنيوتريشن. ببلش التحضير a few days before the race، يعني 3 ايام قبل الريس بتبلشوا تحضروا من ناحيه التغذيه. الليله اللي قبل الريس الترويقه الدغري قبل الماراثون. بالماراثون شو بدكم تاكلوا وتشربوا انتم وعم تركضوا. وكتير مهم ما ننسى من بعد الماراثون كمان الريكفري اللي عنا تنعملها. هلا اكيد هيدا كله رح ابعث لكم اياه through these 5 months، ورح نفوت بالديتيلز تبع كل شيء. ما تعتلوا هم انه او تحسون انه هلا كتار. keep in mind انه runners مثلكم اللي بعدهم مبلشين بدهم proper nutrition لحتى يقدروا يتمرنوا التمرين المضبوط اللي رح يخليهم يحافظوا على صحتهم ويوصلوا على البرفورمانس اللي بدهم اياها. هلا اكيد كلكم عندكم كثير اسئله انه لازم اخذ supplements او لا، امتى بشرب سبورتس درينك، امتى باخذ جيلز، اذا لازم اخذ مثلا بروتين سبلمنت من بعدها باودرز و لايك تابلتس اتسترا، اذا لازم اضعف اتسترا. كل هدول الاسئله more or less رح نجاوب عليهم بالتبس اللي عم ببعث لكم اياهم كل جمعه. واكيد اذا عندكم اسئله بتبعتوا لي ايميل you have all my contacts، فيكم تسالوا او تسالوا الكوتش والكوتش كان refer to me. كيف رح تاخذوا هالمعلومات بهالفتره التمرين؟ على ويب سايت بيروت ماراثون ان شاء الله سون بيكون في نيوتريشن تاب فيها كل شيء ديتيلد. في الهيلث سيمينار مثل اليوم واللي رح نعمله بنوفمبر قبل الماراثون، الانفوجرافيكس اللي شفتون على انستغرام مرات وبعثت لكم اياهم بواتساب، واكيد ببعث لكم some of the tips بالواتساب through your coach. اوكي هلا رح نحكي عن كل المواضيع اللي بتتراوح من الكربوهيدرات لكل انواع السناكس اللي لازم تاخذون، الهيدريشن، البروتينز، الفات، كل شيء لازم تاخذوه لحتى توصلوا على الفينش لاين مرتاحين with a good performance. اكيد في كتير misbeliefs بنسميهم او myth حوالي النيوتريشن، وكتير بتقروا اشياء وبتسمعوا اشياء يمكن بالنيوتريشن. انا بدي اطلب منكم تستفيدوا انه في عندكم اذا بدكم انا او التيم تبع البيروت ماراثون او your coaches اللي هن كتير فهمانين بهالموضوع وعنا scientific information لحتى تستفيدوا تسالونا عن هالامور قبل ما تنبشوا عرفتوا على جوجل شو ما كان، او تسمعوا left and right وتفوتوا باشياء ما ضروري تعملوها، مكلفه لصحتكم ولجسمكم وما بتفيدكم. اوكي بليز وقت يكون عندكم اسئله refer to me او to the team، لانه بنعطيكم الانفورميشن اللي منيحه لكم، وما عندنا اي يعني مثل ما بتعرفوا من البير ما في اي commercial end behind this. هلا بس اعطيكم كلمتين كتير سريعين عن اشياء ضروريه تعملوهم كل يوم، خاصه انه كتير شوب هلا ببيروت وعم تركضوا كلكم لو الصبح او بعد الظهر عم بيكون بعده شوب. الهايدريشن، هلا انتم ركضاتكم بلشوا يطولوا، بلشتوا تركضوا اطول واطول مسافات ووقت، كتير مهم نكون دائما عم نشرب مي قبل الاكسرسايز، مينيمم نص لتر او كبيتين مي، ما تاخذون فرد مره دغري قبل الاكسرسايز، يعني جربوا خذونا على نص ساعه قبل الاكسرسايز. during الركض تشربوا كبايه مي صغيره، او ما رح يكون معكم كبايه، سب يعني بلعه صغيره كل 10 minutes تما توصلوا على مرحله العطش. اوكي ما لازم توصلوا على مرحله العطش، لازم ما نخلي جسمنا يعطش. وبعد الاكسرسايز بدنا كمان كل اللي عرقناه والزياده عليه بدنا نزيد 500 مليلتر ل 700 مليلتر، لازم نشرب من بعد السبورتس كمان. اوكي سوائل واشياء ومي كمان. very small indication، فيكم تطلعوا على لون اليورين تبعكم بس يعني تفوتوا على الحمام، فيكم تطلعوا اليورين ما لازم تكون كتير غامقه، هي انديكيتر كتير منيح للستيت اوف هايدريشن تبعكم. اذا اليورين ترانسبارنت على شويه كتير خفيف الاصفر اتس نورمال، بس تصير غامقه كتير يعني انتم بحاجه لمي، لو ما نكون حاسين باحساس العطش. اوكي. هلا كثير بيسالوني سؤال سمبل، قلت رح اجاوبكم عليه دغري، انه فينا ياخذ كافي او شاي قبل التمرين؟ اكيد فيكم تاخذوا 1 مورنينج كافي او تي قبل التمرين، ما في مشكله. بالعكس الكافيين شوي بوستيو بالسبار، بس ما تزيدوها كثير، يعني مش 3-4 كبايات قبل التمرين، كبايه واحده. واكيد ما تنسوا المي كمان، لانه يو نيد تو هايدريت مع الكافيين. هلا كمان شيء صغير يوجولي بيسالوني عنه ان جنرال، اللي هو موضوع اكشلي كثير كبير، بس رح جاوبكم عليه باختصار، اللي هو اذا لازم تاخذوا سبلمنتس او لا. هذا الموضوع كثير واسع، لانه it depends على عمركم وحاجاتكم وشو بتاكلوا واللايف ستايل تبعكم وقد ايه بتتمرنوا اتسترا. بس اجمالا الكوهورت تبع البارتيسيبنت بال 542 بتفرجي انه اجمالا amateur runners بعدكم اول مره عم تركضوا مسافات هالقد طويله، واجمالا فيكم تاخذوا كل شيء عايزينه من الاكل، خاصه بالاول. يعني هلا بجولاي اوغست سبتمبر منكم عايزين تفوتوا بسبلمنتس. هلا اذا انتم اوريدي بتاخذوا سبلمنت، مثلا يمكن في نسوان بياخذوا فيتامين دي، ما توقفوا. اكيد اللي بتاخذون اوريدي من قبل في حكي مصرف لكم اياهم، ما تغيروهم. بس ما تبلشوا تاخذوا سبلمنتس اكزاجريتد لانه عم تركضوا 10 و15 كيلومتر. هلا بالعكس كله مزبوط، واتبعوا انا اللي رح صير لكم اياهم كل جمعه، والاكزامبلز بعطيكم اياهم. كونوا اكيدين انه رح تاخذوا through them الفيتامينز والمينرالز اللي عايزين. سو ما تبلشوا هلا كثير تفوتوا بهالدويره السبلمنتس. اوفرول انا هيدا هو كل شيء كان بدي لكم اياه اليوم بسرعه، واكيد باخر هالجمعه برجع ببعتكم تيبس جداد ل during الران وبعد الران، وعن كل فيتامين ومينرال رح اعطيكم كل الانفورميشن اللي عايزينها. ثانك يو.
Thank you, Dr. Lama. Okay, now we're gonna move to the questions and answers to our guest speakers. So I'm just opening the question and answer box. I'm gonna start right away. Please, Lama, if you can stop sharing the screen. Thank you. All right, so our first question, I think this question will go to Jihad Haddad. How can I treat my plantar fasciitis injury, which is a common running injury? Please, Jihad, if you can hear us. Okay, so we're gonna leave this question to the end. Jihad. Second question, could you tell us more about the physiotherapists and how we can access them? As I said, we're gonna share a link, which is a form that you have to fill in. And then after this form, after that you submit the form, we're gonna receive as organizers your request, and based on your location, we will know how to direct you or to which physiotherapist to direct you, and we'll share with you the details of the appointments. Next question, we go to Dr. Mona Osman. If I feel that I can hardly breathe during intervals, is it alarming, heart-wise?
Hi. If this is your first time running, sometimes this is normal. I know it can happen, but if you want to make sure 100%, if you want, you can come and you can do the assessment and the examination before the sessions. So إذا بدك سؤال بير, I don't know who is that person, but I know we
It's
can
anonymous.
my number and you can contact me and we can do the physical assessment and examination. But it can happen if this is the first time that you're running.
All right, thank you, doctor. Now let's move on to Jihad, you're back, so I'm gonna ask.
Yes, because they cut the electricity. This is why. It's
Right,
okay.
no
So plantar fasciitis mainly, it's about prevention. So if you have tight calves and tight posterior chain, from the plantar fascia to the gastrocnemius to the hamstrings, you end up having plantar fasciitis. So this is why we insist on active stretching before the training and passive stretching after the training. But once you have the plantar fascia, you put a small bottle of water in the freezer, and every day you do a rolling ice massage on the ball of the foot. Okay, so 5 minutes, plus you do eccentric stretching, and you do stretching standing up. You push the wall every day, 5 minutes. I can send you the tips. It's Spanish technique. Okay, adding some physiotherapy modalities like shockwave, ultrasound, electrotherapy, MTP, etc.
Thank you, Jihad.
Okay.
The next question will go to Mrs. Monique. Is it okay to do yoga after a Sunday long run if you feel fatigue and sore muscles?
She means on the same day? Yeah, why not? But after a few hours.
No, the following day. The following day. So on Monday,
Yes.
if the long run is on Sunday, and on Monday the person feels sore muscles and fatigue, is it okay to do yoga?
Yes,
That was the
it is okay to do yoga because we will have different rhythm. Even if we are on Zoom, I give different variation. So if one posture is going to be painful, I can imagine that I know that information that on Sunday, every Sunday there's a long run. So I'm going to add every time few variation if the body is too much tight and stiff because of Sunday long run. But of course she can, because we can do very slow and soft stretching, like I said, in Hatha Yoga, especially for runners and especially for the 5-4-2. I'm not going to give them active cardio postures, and because you can sweat a lot in yoga. We're going to choose the postures where we really rest the body, rest the mental, and stretch in very slow movements and very awareness. And we can always talk on Zoom. She unmute and she asks me questions.
perfect. Thank you so much, Monique.
Albert,
Yes, yes,
can I
Jihad.
interrupt you? Just permit me to announce Monzir Kabara, our swimmer in Tokyo. He just came second in the first heat race, 200 meters. Okay, so this
Wow.
is a good boost for our runners
Yeah,
to cheer
incredible. Amazing
Super.
news.
Okay.
Bravo.
Amazing.
Top.
To all the Lebanese.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we have another question related to yoga. So I'm going to ask it to you again, Monique. Can yoga treat minor scoliosis?
Yoga can stop the evolution, but cannot heal totally a minor scoliosis. It depends also when we're starting. If she's starting the yoga when the scoliosis started at the age of the teenager time, 16, 18, when the body is getting more developed, probably yes, we have some cases where the yoga was able to redress and to heal a bit with, of course, physiotherapy in parallel and strengthening the muscles around this spine. Yoga can, after a certain age, stop the evolution, but this has to be a specific private session too, because we go into very specific movement on the right or on the left, depending on the side of the scoliosis. So yoga is not a negative thing when you have this, just to know that it can only stop the evolution but not heal totally.
All right, thank you so much.
I can
question-
confirm what Mrs.
Yeah.
Monique said. In fact, you divide it into functional scoliosis and structural. For functional scoliosis, which is related to muscle imbalance, etc., yoga is essential, and rehabilitation and active exercises. But when it goes to structural, unfortunately, it ends up by a corset and sometimes surgery. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Jihad. I think we have a question to Lama. Okay. I think I lost the question. Hold on a second. I'm sorry.
I read them already, Albert. It's
Okay,
about,
please.
Okay, so the first question about proteins and glutamine and casein, etc. So glutamine is an amino acid, so it's a component of a protein, and casein is a kind of protein. So I think, as I said before, that at this stage, we don't need to take any protein supplements because proteins are widely found in food, and not only meat and chicken and fish, but I mean, لو بناكل يعني مش خضرة، بدي اقول بقول مثل العدس، الفاصوليا، الحمص، كله فيه بروتينز. سو منا عايزين عن جد ناخذ سبلمنت وباودر، وتعرف هدول الامور غاليه كمان، يعني ما انا بلاقي انه واحد ياكل اكل طبيعي احسن، لانه يعني بس ناكل اكل فيه بروتين بنكون عم ناخذ معه كمان غير انواع غذاء مثل الفيتامينات والمعادن وبكون احسن. لا ما برايي انا انه منا عايزين بال 542 ناخذ بروتين سبلمنت. هلا في سؤال ثاني كان عم بيقولوا لي اذا فينا ابعث لهم يصير الانفورميشن كلها بدل ما بس نبعث انفوجرافيكس. اكيد فينا يصير ابعثهم ويصير حطهم على الويب سايت مثل ما كنا قايلين، يعني كل الانفورميشن تبع النيوتريشن تيب.
And I'm confirming this. We're gonna post all the nutrition tips under the 542 section on our website, and we're gonna share them كمان مع الcoaches بالWhatsApp groups.
Okay.
So we have also, I think, a question to Jihad. So it's any advice for flat feet?
Yes, the flat feet, it's a morphotype. We assess it with the musculoskeletal screening. It could be related to a general joint laxity, means that the athlete is lax, is hypermobile, his elbows, his shoulders, his hips, snapping hips, recurvatum of the knee, and so in two words, he might have looseness in the ligaments, okay, and in the capsule. So if this affects the running, yes, we will do what we call the baropodometry. The athlete will run and walk on a static platform, and the baropodometry will give us in details every microseconds how the weight bearing on every centimeter on the foot. So if there is a departure from the physiological, let's say the medial arch physiologically is 120 and it's 220, so we can support the medial arch, we can stabilize the calcaneum. So it's about orthotics, not about only rehab, okay? So you can stabilize the ankle and the medial arch and the knee for a better performance and to prevent injuries. But you cannot change it, okay? You cannot change the flat.
Perfect, thank you, Jihad. We have a question that will go to Mrs. Monique and to Dr. Jihad. So, hello, can we do yoga if we have a disc with L4 and L5?
I can start, Jihad.
Yeah, of course, the floor is yours.
It depends on the fact that if there is inflammation or not. This part of the back is very tricky, very fragile. That's why a lot of people, they got injured in this L4 and L5. If there's no pain, there's no inflammation, yes, she can do yoga, but with a very mindful presence on the postures. And if she's in a crisis, in pain, and there's inflammation, of course not, because the injury can be stronger after the session. And she has to tell me if this person is going to be among us on Monday. I need to know, so I can always give her, when we do extension and flexion in the yoga postures, I can give her variations.
100%. In fact, we don't treat an X-ray or an MRI. We might all have discs if we do MRI, okay? So as Mrs. Shibli said, it depends on the inflammatory phase or chronic phase or asymptomatic. So when we say it has disc, it could be bulging, protrusion, pincement, So if there is no neurological signs, no paralysis, no deficit, no pain, numbness, etc., it has nonsense. We could have 32 discs asymptomatic and we do our activity. So we need to assess the situation. If there is a deficit, of course, it will go to complete rest, corset, and medication with the physician. So I confirm what Mrs. Shibli said.
Albert, it's important also. It's important on Monday. People can write in the beginning of the session if they have pain somewhere in the neck, in the shoulders. I need to know before we start the session on Monday. Maybe we can do this on the chat.
Yes, we can address this question before we start with the session on Monday. Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Jihad.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I think we still have 3 last questions. Lama, if you're still with us, what is the best snack pre-exercising if I don't want to lose muscles? We know that we shared on the groups what are the best snacks pre-exercise in case it is in the morning or in the afternoon. But if you're still with us, please, your input is needed.
Albert, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm still with you. هلا not to lose muscle but to lose only fat ما له علاقة ب necessarily أي ساعة بنعمل سبورتس. هلا إذا منوعى الصبح ومنروح دغري منركض ومش أكلين أبداً، الجسم إجمالاً عنده تندنسي إنه يصرف من الفات، أوكي، لأنه بيكون واعي الجسم الانرجي ليفل السكر فيه واطي بيصرف من الفات. بس كمان بدنا نعرف إنه هيدا الستيت ما بتخلينا نتمرن تمرين قوي أو انترفلز. يعني ما فيك تعمل انترفلز وأنت رايح منك أكل شيء ونايم قبل بليلة كمان يمكن أكل عشاء خفيف اتسترا. سو إذا بدنا نتمرن مزبوط لازم ناخد سناك صغير قبل الركض، وهيدا التمرين مع نظام أكل منيح يعني منه أوفر عالي بالكالوريز هو اللي بيخليني حافظ على المصل تبعي وأخسر شوية فات إذا أنا هدفي هو إنه أضعف. أوكي، يعني بفتكر الشخص اللي عم يسأل هو هدفهم إنه يضعفوا أكتر الفات ويتركوا المصل. سو بده يكون عندهم نظام أكل معين مش كتير عالي بالوحدات الحرارية ويركضوا ويعملوا التمرين كله، بس ما له علاقة دغري بأي ساعة التمرين.
All right, thank you so much, Lama. I think another question goes to you. How can we test for food intolerance or food allergy? I have functional dysphagia, heartburn, and IBS, and food can be a major challenge for me.
اوكي، هلا هيدا السؤال شوي مش بس كومبلكس، يعني الشخص عم يسأل عن عدة diseases أو conditions مختلفين عن بعضهم، يعني الالرجي غير عن الانتوليرنس غير عن الاي بي اس اتسترا. بس تجاوب بسهولة. أول شيء في تيست للالرجي، بس الالرجي بيكون هو شيء يعني بس ناكل مثلا، في ناس عندهم الرجي على البينات او هيك بس ناكلها بصير عندنا مثل ازمه وبتصير مثلا ترعانه جلدتنا وهيك، هيدي الالرجي. هن اللي بفتكر هن عم بيحكوا عنها هي مور انتوليرنس، يعني اللي هي جاي كمان مع الاي بي اس مرات الريتابل باول سيندروم، اللي هو انه في بعض الاكل بناكله جسمنا ما بيقدر يهضمه مزبوط، سو بيضايقنا، بيعملنا نفخه، بيعملنا دايريا، بيعملنا كرامبس اتسترا. هيدا الشيء الانتوليرنس ما في له تيست بالدم. اوكي، يعني هدول التستات اللي بيقولوا انه بالدم بيعرفوا قد ايه عندك انتوليرنس على الخس والخيار اتسترا، هدول فحوصات منا فاليد ومنا ساينتفك. The only way تنعرف شو نحن intolerant عليه هو إنه نجرب شيء اسمه elimination diet. يعني إذا أنا بقدر إنه مثلاً كل ما أشرب حليب أو آكل جبنة عم بتضايق، بجرب شيلهم لمدة جمعتين توتالي من الدايت تبعي وبشوف كيف عم بيصيروا السيمبتومز. برجع إذا ما طلع في هن عم بيضايقوني بشيل مثلاً تنقول كل شيء فيه فايبرز يعني ألياف، مثلا بوقف آكل فاصوليا، حمص اتسترا. شوف كيف صرت عم بحس. يعني هذا الموضوع شوي كومبلكس، ما فيني هلا افسره كله بظرف دقيقه، بس انه بحب لهم انه ما في blood test بيقول لكم على شو عندكم intolerance. اوكي، سو ما يروحوا يعملوا هدول التست اللي بكلفوا كذا $100 وما بيعطوكم نتيجه مضبوطه.
Well noted, Lama. Thank you. I have a question that might go to Dr. George Karam, since he's a coach. وكمان Mrs. Monique. I feel like I do not know how to breathe correctly when running. Any tips?
Monique, would you like to answer that?
You can start, George, and I finish.
Sure, okay. So the best breathing technique is to really focus that, you know, on your breathing, to really take deep breath in and then exhale as you're running. A lot of us وفي كتير runners وخاصة وقت يعملوا stretching، وهيدي بفتكر أكيد مونيك رح تحكي عنها بعدين وقت يكون في اليوغا on Mondays. في كتير عالم هنا عم بيعملوا الستريتشنج بيصيروا بيحبسوا النفس تبعهم، يعني بيصير عم بيعمل ايفور وبيكون حابس النفس، بينسى انه لازم يتنفس بنفس الوقت. سو الرننج اهم شيء انه واحد يركز على التنفس تبعه، وحتى لو بده يعملها بطريقه بالاول شوي ثياتريكال، يعني عم بيتنفس نفس عميق لجوا، عم بيسمع الصوت انه عم بيتنفس لجوا وعم ينفخ لبرا. في عالم بيقولوا انه كل نفخ كل شرقتين لجوا لازم نعمل شرقه لبرا، في عالم بيقولوا وحده بوحده. صراحه you should find your own way. يعني في عالم بيرتاحوا انه كل ما يشرقوا مرتين بينفخوا مره لبرا، او في عالم مره بمره، في عالم بيعملوا ثلاثه بواحد. فما في، انا ما عندي تكنيك معين بقول انه هيدي افضل من هيدي. واحد هو بده يركز على التنفس تبعه، واهم شيء انه يكون عم بيراقب التنفس تبعه، وبحد ذاتها هو عم بيعملها. هيدي اتس فورم اوف مديتيشن. هو واحد عم بيركض وعم بيراقب التنفس تبعه، عم بيركز على التنفس تبعه. It's really a form of meditation. It will help him go further بالران تبعه.
Thank you, Dr. George. Monique, if you want to add something.
Yes, that the pranayama, the control of the breath, you have simple exercises and very complicated ones. Akid, we're going to start with the simple ones when we start all together. And these exercises will give you an awareness of how to control your breathing. مش control يعني تحبسي، بس to make it more ample, to amplify the breathing. We have tendency when we run to inhale more than exhaling. So this is where you have to be, when we run, you have to be aware that your exhalation is very important. So you need to empty before you take the breathing, to take an inhalation, to empty the lungs, to be able to inhale in a amplified way. And these techniques, you get them with the exercise of running, of course. There's a difference between running slow and running fast. When you run slow, you have the time to exhale even sometimes from the nose and to inhale from the mouth. But when you go fast, you don't have time to exhale from the nose. You will experience it when you run. You need to inhale and exhale from the mouth to get more oxygen for your muscles. And when you slow down and you have different rhythms in your runs, you'll be aware that you have to take the time to first exhale from the mouth or from the nose, depends on how you feel comfortable with, and then to inhale with the mouth. Okay, and all this, you have to experience it while you're running without panicking, taking the time to understand how you are functioning with your own breathing. كلنا بنتنفس بطريقة مختلفة. Donc to find the place where you are comfortable with your breathing. And of course, this question also, I can answer them while we are in the yoga sessions together.
All right. Thank you, Monique. One question, I think it will be the last question to Dr. George. Is crying when you're alone at night a sign of depression? By an anonymous attendee.
Well, you know, for any symptom, for depression, there are 9 symptoms, and crying is one of the symptoms. However, we cannot take the symptom on its own and to generalize and say that you have depression. You know, you need to have crying, you need to have low mood, you need to have low energy, you need to have poor appetite, you need not to be sleeping well. you need to have poor concentration, you need to be not functioning in addition of having all those symptoms for a period of at least 2 weeks until we can say that you have depression. So crying on its own, even though it's one of the symptoms, but it's not enough on its own. Now, if you feel that you're sad, if you feel, all the symptoms that I mentioned, in addition to crying, then yes, we can say that there is depression. And the treatment of depression really depends on the level. So if it's mild, exercise is a perfect way to solve that. Yoga is another excellent way to treat depression if it's in the mild stages. If it gets to moderate, maybe we need psychotherapy to do that, to treat depression. If it gets to the severe stages, especially as a suicidal ideation, so feeling suicidal and thoughts of wishing to be dead and killing yourself, SAATA medications definitely have to be introduced.
Thank you so much, Dr. Josh. Well, I think the webinar is coming to an end. I would like to thank all the audience, all our guest speakers for your time, and hopefully we will see you very soon.
Thank you, Albert.
Thank
Have
you
a
all.
great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.